Here at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center on Wednesday, Ohio State's got a couple more days of practice for the big Penn State game. No real injury updates from Ryan Day other than to say their guys are working to come back. They hope they're able to get everybody back. We saw three people among the injured group, the known injured group, come off the practice field together. It was Trevion Henderson, Chip Trayanum, Mayan Williams, like in unison, in pads, with helmets. That is a good sign as to their availability to some extent, I guess, on Saturday against Penn State. Did not see Emeka Egbuka, did not see Denzel Burke. Stephen, coming out of tonight, I know you talked to Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. Not a great sense of optimism right now, I don't think, about Emeka Egbuka, but what do we know about what he's dealing with and what the process might be to get him back?
So obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. has been dealing with his own ankle injury. So how it got brought up is that he got asked about his ankle injury, and he said it's getting better. You know, obviously he's out here right now over here on the Monarch, so he's running around and doing stuff with it. And then it got brought up of, is Emeka's injury in any way similar to yours? And he said, yes, they're both ankle injuries. And that matches up with what was seen after the game. Emeka Egbuka, after the Maryland game, was seen walking around in a boot. So if that's the case, that kind of lines up with that. So we didn't, like you said, we didn't see Emeka Egbuka after practice today, so we don't know if he was out there or not. But we do know this, that last week Xavier Johnson stepped in as a slot receiver, and then we also saw Carnell Tate get a big role as well. I think it's a fair expectation to where if you're unsure about Emeka Egbuka right now, it's fair if you want to start expecting that Xavier Johnson and Carnell Tate are once again going to have a bigger role this week. Ryan Day even talked about it. This is around the time when you see freshmen start to take that leap about midway through the season. This is about the time that you want to see that from Carnell Tate. Well, they might need it if Emeka Egbuka can't go on Saturday.
Andrew, you and I were watching the cornerbacks come in. We never saw Denzel Burke come in. Again, I want to make sure people understand we don't see practice. We're only let in at a certain time. Guys could have practiced and then gone for treatment. Sometimes guys are working to get back and don't even necessarily go to practice, and it's trying to get them ready for the game. So not seeing them isn't a definitive anything. But from, Davis and Igbinosun and other guys we saw tonight, there's been obviously a growing surge this week of confidence in what Jermaine Matthews can bring to this secondary if needed on Saturday.
Yeah, I think I think it's confidence. I think it's optimism too. I think he played against Purdue last week. So certainly you feel a little bit better about that situation than if he didn't play against Purdue, because then you'd be talking about throwing a guy into the biggest game of the year in a completely new situation. So, Ohio State obviously would love to have Denzel Burke on the field. You want to have Denzel Burke on the field. That is what is going to change things for their defense, I think. But if you have Jermaine Matthews out there, I think that there is this kind of optimism and this confidence that you're right, it's not going to be a total disaster, or you're not going to be holding your breath every time they throw his direction, which, look, I said this on the pod, if Ohio State, if I was Penn State diagramming things, I'd be throwing at him early and often trying to see what he can do. So I think there is a confidence that if that happens, there's not going to be a complete and total collapse, and that you do like what you've seen. So, they like what they've gotten out of Igbinosun, they like what they have out of Hancock, but if you play Matthews there, they seem confident and, optimistic about what you can get from him on Saturday.
Jordan Hancock said that he's been working or expects to play both in and out on Saturday. That's not necessarily a telling sign because he has done both. They'll play him at nickel safety. They will play him outside depending on the rotation that game. But it tells you, I think, that the vibe that I got from him was some openness that he might have to be part of the solution for if Denzel Burke can't play. But we'll find out a lot more. Make sure you have the text 614-350-3315 because as soon as that status report comes out on Saturday morning, we'll be texting it to you as soon as we have eyes on players in and around Ohio Stadium on Saturday morning. We'll be texting it to you there from cleveland.com.